Shalom. Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, Commonwealth West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander GEN.YAHANNA. Since 1969, we've been teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians our true identity according to the Bible. You understand, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, the Lord's chosen people, and the only people that the God of this book right here, you understand, the Holy Bible, gives a good goddamn about. And of course that Slacky, that the same man that has been oppressing us and stealing and lying and raping us for 400 plus years is nothing more than the devil that the Bible speaks of. So you already know we're gonna be getting into them curses in Deuteronomy. I'm saying Salakia for the late start. You know what I'm saying, on the class. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and give you a second to, share the class. I'm saying tag every single Gadite that you know in the class. You understand? Then we'll go ahead and get started. But obviously from the class style, you already know we're gonna be getting into all these plagues that it is that the Lord has sent onto the face of this earth. You understand, all these Asians that he is just bringing this sickness upon. All these Europeans, East Indians, Asian, Arabs, and of course, goddamn Africans. And even though the Lord is bringing it onto these specific nations, don't think that, Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives are just excluded from it. So don't think that just because we're the Lord's chosen people, that the Lord ain't going to send these same plagues. Because we know from history, I'm saying, what has absolutely ravaged our nation in the past, the Lord and plagues upon us. Because we'd much rather sit there and come against the Lord rather than follow him. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So we're going to start off in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 17. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 17. First shall be thy basket and thy store. So just like, all throughout America, this coronavirus that's going on, you know what I'm saying? All these different Europeans sitting there raiding these stores, and all the bottles of water and just all the goods that it is. So, like, if they can get their hands on, I'm saying, that is besides soap, you know what I'm saying, something that you think would be a necessity to prevent this virus from spreading. I'm saying the same thing is going to be going on inside of the reservations. You understand? Our people, we still got that fear that after what happened when the European man first invaded us as a nation, and he spread all these different type of diseases, all these different plagues, because our oppressor was just such a disgusting bastard that these type of things just, you know what I'm saying, it ooze from their skin. It flows in their veins. I'm saying the same fear that we had back then, that is going to come back upon our nation. I'm saying even till today. So a lot of us, we sit there, we joke around about it. I'm saying we might make memes and say, oh well, due to all the different, plagues that it is that have stricken our people, shoot, we should damn near be immune to the coronavirus. So when no matter how much, our oppressor makes it seem like it's simply your immune system, I'm saying it's simply something you build up a tolerance to. I'm saying that is something of the Lord. The Lord decides who it is that gets killed, who it is that lives, who gets sick and who gets healed. You understand? But because us as a nation, we don't know this, we're going to simply sit there and follow in the ways of man. You know what I'm saying? Follow in the ways of all these other nations. Saying all these other nations are panicking. They're going to the stores and completely emptying them out. Saying so much so that you can go online, you can find just a gang of pictures of empty aisles. You know what I'm saying? Aisles that have maybe one or two things left on the shelves because these people are in a panic because they know that the Lord is sending a plague against them. But if we don't sit there and follow what it was that the Lord told us to do as a nation, I'm saying as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, which is to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments that were given to us and strictly us, the Lord is going to send these plagues back upon our nation. So it don't matter how much, we stockpile from all these different stores. You know, say it don't matter how much faith it is that we got in, all these, how do you say that, Bosch's, which is like a goddamn, like a Walmart. I'm saying generic Walmart. Say it don't matter what it is that we got in these Dollar Generals and these fast food places and these gas stations that we, rely on so much as a people. You understand? The Lord is going to cause, just such a shortage of resources and just such panic among the people that what it is that we got in our own stores, I'm saying it truly is not going to help us out as a nation. I'm saying it's not going to be enough to sit there and sustain us as a people. So especially once things get dire throughout the land of America, of the United States. I say that we have never gotten, the better deals or bargains when it comes to supplying our nation. We got to rely on our oppressor. So when we sit there and we empty out our own stores and our oppressor empties out his own stores, who is it that you think these resources are ultimately going to go to? I'm saying they are not going to go out of their way in order to make sure that natives are not starving in the reservations, that we are not dying of thirst. They're not going to make sure that we got other basic necessities. They're going to be looking out for their own people. And then our stores are just going to be these empty buildings. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be a thought of what it used to be. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much we saying we love his government, his people, and we rely on them to ensure our survival, these people are never going to, truly treat us the same as they do their own, which that's something that we have learned in the past. You understand? We used to rely heavily on them for food, you understand, for water. And they'd sit there and they'd get spoiled meat. And they'd give us, dirty water and all these different foods that is bad for us as a nation. So that goes to show you who it is that is going to get hit the hardest. And it's always going to be, who the government cares the least about, who this nation cares the least about. And that is, of course, and always Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You're saying we've always been the most hated amongst all these other nations. It's lucky. We're going to skip down to verse 21. So don't think that just because, it's 2020, you know what I'm saying, that it's a new day and age that we're going to be treated equal as a people. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get the same type of benefits, the same type of, help wherever it is that our oppressor gives it to us. You understand? They're scrambling in the cities of America. I'm saying our oppressors' people are going to end up suffering. So at the end of the day, they're going to have to choose one. And just because we sit there and give all of our love to these people, it does not mean that they're going to choose us, just like they have never chosen us. Verse 21, the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave onto thee. So for those is essentially like a fatal epidemic. Something that us natives can compare to the bubonic plague. I'm saying to a pestilence would be smallpox. Understand? Our oppressor brought smallpox over here and it wiped out, I'm saying, 90% and up of the population. Millions of our people perished, all because we allowed for a dirty bastard to sit there and come into our communities I'm saying, because we put our trust into some wicked beast that had one intention, which was to destroy our nation. And which is why, these people sat there and they intentionally spread the disease. Why they would sit there and send blankets with smallpox on it into our communities. Why they try to, force our people to join specifically to, Europeans that were, showing signs of smallpox. I'm saying, showing symptoms. I'm saying our oppressors always use all these different tactics and different ways to get our people to fall to some type of illness. I'm saying it's not just because these people are so smart. They're the greatest. They're great tacticians. I'm saying it was something of the Lord. I'm saying the Lord caused these disgusting bastards that were riddled with disease to come over here and to conquer our lands. Because us as a nation, we would have rather sat there and worship false gods. You understand? Eat abominable foods. It's like, I'm saying, hate our brothers, hate our sisters, and just, I'm saying, a plethora of other things. Saying, and don't think that just because, it's the 21st century that the Lord's not going to send another pestilence onto our nation. So all do is look at the panic that the world is in today. Saying from this coronavirus. Look at all the thousands and millions that are infected and the thousands that have died. As a nation, if we sit there and we just simply do as we please and not keep the laws, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave us, and you best believe that this pestilence is going to come to the reservations. That thousands and millions of us are going to get infected, and probably even millions of us will die. Because we are the Lord's chosen people, and we are held at a higher standard than these other nations. I'm saying that ain't the coronavirus. I'm saying you can sit there and you can say, this is something that is minor, that is being hyped up. I'm saying, but you can also look, I'm saying, across seas, and you can see about these other plagues that are breaking out. I'm saying China recently had the bird flu breaking out. I'm saying in Europe and in Africa, they got the goddamn monkeypox breaking out, which is like a damn near the big brother of smallpox. So if you let that over here into America, and when it gets into the reservations, not if, but when, I'm saying just imagine the type of toll that's going to have on our communities. Just imagine the elders, I'm saying, the youth, our leaders, so-called leaders, like you. I'm saying, getting just plagued with this disease right here. Saying, because the end is near, whether we believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? The end is getting here, and Christ will return before we know it. Flucky. Until he have consumed thee from off the land. So just like all these different diseases. I'm saying like smallpox, measles, the flu killed millions of natives. I'm saying had us just laying, I'm saying dead all throughout the land. So I believe disease alone killed, what was it like, 77 million natives. I'm saying these type of things just completely wiped us off of the face of this earth. I'm saying a once strong continent was just destroyed by a goddamn disease. And you don't think that the Lord can do the same thing again to our nation? Same with the spread of all these new viruses and diseases. I'm saying these are things that we should not take lightly as a people. I'm saying the flu alone killed millions of us. I'm saying, what do you think the goddamn coronavirus is? I'm saying that is nothing more than, I'm saying, the flu. Might be a little more advanced at that. So don't think that just because we survived all these different diseases and plagues that we can do it again. Saying don't think that our immune systems are so built up that I'm saying these things aren't gonna phase us, period. I'm saying because that's what happened in the past is underestimating what it is that the Lord can do to us as a nation. I'm saying if we weren't the Lord's chosen people, we could be wiped off the face of this earth in an instant, just like so many other nations of people have been. Just look here. Whither thou goest to possess it. And so no matter where it is that we go throughout the face of this earth, I'm saying there's always going to be some type of plague, some type of pandemic that is going to strike our people and I'm saying wipe us off of the face of this earth. I'm saying make our numbers so low that is damn near like shoot them niggas they extinct. I'm saying that ain't just something of your imagination. So when you go to anybody in the world and they will tell you that I thought native Indians were extinct. I'm saying they are a nation of people. I'm saying that's the type of things that they say about us due to just how destructive it was that all these different plagues were to our nation. So just like in the past with all these plagues breaking out all throughout the land, I'm saying all throughout Central America, I'm saying North America, South America, I'm saying the same thing is going to happen again. Except that it's going to happen, I'm saying today. It's going to happen in modern times. It is going to be something that infects our people and I'm saying absolutely ravages our communities. Because we'd much rather sit there and follow in whatever ways it is that our oppressor taught us than following in the ways of the Lord, in the ways of our ancestors, saying which knew to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. So don't think that you can, just flee to any type of land. I'm saying don't think that you can just run to Canada. You can run to South America, to Europe, and we can simply barricade ourselves into our own reservations. Because at the end of the day, we love our oppressor so goddamn much that we will let him in with open arms. And all we need is at least one of them devils to be infected with all these different diseases. And it's going to start spreading like wildfire among our people. And just like in the past. We're going to go to verse 22. Yeah, we're going to go to verse 22. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with a sword, and slacking, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall they shall pursue thee until thou perish. I simply brought up this scripture right here so I can bring up this perfect example. I'm saying in this book right here called American Holocaust. Slovakia, The Conquest of the New World, American Holocaust by David E. Stannard. And so this is in the first paragraph of page 124. Like other government-sponsored Indian death marches, so us as a people, we've experienced more than enough of us to march just these absurd distances to get onto, this crummy piece of land. If we didn't obey them, then they would obviously end up murdering us. I'm saying with the sword, saying with their firepower, just like plenty of natives have been murdered in the past in such a way. This one intentionally took native men, women, and children through areas where it was known that cholera and other epidemic diseases were raging. Since our oppressor was such a beast, and it still is till this day, that he would intentionally force, not only, men protecting their land, their families, their possessions, but they would force our women, our babies, our children to go through disease-riddled areas, all so that they could simply get us sick, get us to suffer, just a long and grueling death, all because simply they got some type of pleasure out of doing so, all because they wanted the land that it was that we were living on. The government sponsors of this march, it's like, again, as with the others, fed the Indians spoiled flour and rancid meat. I'm saying, so the government, I'm saying, so those in Slovakia, the government sponsors, so like the military, you understand, those in the court system, the goddamn Supreme Court, the president, all these government officials sponsored what happened, you know what I'm saying, in this specific instance and in many other instances that had happened before and that would happen in the future. And these same people that were tasked with protecting and serving those in the land of America, they purposely fed our people, fed the Indians spoiled flour and rancid meat. So they were purposefully feeding just, all these different foods that they knew would make us sick, would cause us some type of suffering. You understand? And that in return would just cause disease to spread throughout, our little communities. Would cause our people to get all weak and feeble and not be able to complete the march and just, ultimately, perish. They would ultimately lead us to be killed by the sword. So that just goes to show you how much that they hate us. But they would sit there and feed us spoiled flour and goddamn spoiled meat. You see, it ain't cost nothing to feed, somebody back then. But our oppressor took it a step further and made it to where he ain't got to spend, I believe it was like damn. I can't recall specifically, but it was just an absurdly low price to feed like a native household in any of these marches that they forced our people upon. And they drove the native people on through freezing rain and cold. Slovakia. So even after these people sat there and fed us things they knew would make us weak, they knew would make us feeble and susceptible to, sickness and disease, they purposefully forced us to march through cold weather, more specifically freezing weather, and, rain, which is going to make us more and more susceptible to getting sick, to getting some type of disease that we cannot recover from. Okay, so just like those type of things happen in the past. So when resources start running out in America today, you understand, our oppressor is going to turn to our lands. He's going to turn to what it is that we have, and he's going to do the same thing happen here to us today. He's going to give us all the spoiled meat and meat that is infected with parasites and all types of diseases and pus. Going to give us all this bad flour and grains and just anything that is harmful to your health that he can get his hands on. He's going to give to natives, and then he's going to force us into smaller pieces of land. So which is why it's so important that we recognize just what type of a beast our oppressor truly is. So like, that even after all that he has done to us as a nation, that he will never be let up. We're going to go to verse 23. 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. Okay, so we've been over this. So I couldn't tell you how many times. I'm saying, yeah, this is talking about the prison systems. Understand, but one thing our people have to realize is, without us having some type of morality inside these lands, some type of righteous judgment, it's like righteous leadership and judgment in these lands, so we're going to end up being just like our oppressor. And so our oppressor is going to end up sitting there and raiding and raping and murdering in order to get whatever resources that it is that they need, due to these stores running out of supplies. You're saying you're going to be doing all types of heinous acts in order to, get whatever it is, get whatever it is that their household needs. And so-called Native Indians are going to follow, very, very soon after. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna damn near get the short end of the stick, simply due to already how impoverished and ill-equipped reservations are to survive long periods of time without food, without water. So when the stores run out, we're going to end up robbing each other, murdering each other for, cattle and sheep, for swine, for whatever it is someone has in their house. We're going to start murdering each other for medical supplies and liquor and weed. All because of, instead of simply listening to the I.S.U.P.K. and keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, which will keep us from doing such things, we'd rather fall in the ways of our oppressor. We laugh now about, this toilet paper shortage that's going on. We're having a grand old time about that now. But what happens once our reservations start running out of such things? Running out of bottled water, medicine, food. We're not going to take a damn diplomatic approach to try to build back up our supplies, because at the end of the day, that's going to fail, for the simple fact that our oppressor's people needs those supplies, and they are not going to let their own starve, die of thirst. And so we're going to start turning on our own. We're going to start hating our brothers and our sisters, robbing and murdering and stealing as many, armed, as they'd say. And then our people are going to end up in the prison systems. More than really we ever have. And don't think that just because, we're the Lord's chosen people, that things are going to be taken, easily on us. I'm saying, if you ain't an I.S.U.P.K under Commander GEN.YAHANNA, I'm saying you ain't going to be able to have that proper, leadership and guidance and know how to survive in these end times. I'm saying, to, murder, to rape, to, do all these different things that were taught to us by our oppressor. We're gonna have us as a nation. I'm saying, bless us all. Saying, but that's only, for those that have the common sense to get inside of this truth. Pastor, understand, shaman, medicine man, whoever it is that you look for the guidance. And so this page 123 in the middle of the page, saying that we're essentially resisting the U.S. government and looking to fight for the survival of their households, for their people. I'm saying, to ensure that we weren't just simply wiped off the face of the earth. So this is that they jotted down of the remaining 17,000 were rounded up by the American military and herded into detention camps or holding pens. So the U.S. government ended up simply rounding up 17,000, people as if it was nothing, and threw them into detention camps or, holding pens or holding cells for months upon months now. Such things to us in the past, just like they're doing these things to our brothers today. I'm saying, when our people start to get, riled up, I'm saying a little reckless because we're starving and tired of the condition that it is that our people are in. I'm saying these same things are going to happen to natives. Saying we don't want to stand with our brothers now. I'm saying the Hispanics. I'm saying we ain't worried about what's happening to them because they aren't considered a native Indian because we're being so goddamn selfish. Well, let's not forget that what happened to them happened to us hundreds of years ago. What's happening to them is going to happen on the reservations. It's going to happen to natives all across America. It doesn't matter if we are, the indigenous people of this land, the original inhabitants. So our oppressor is going to round thousands of us up and throw us into cells just like he has before. I'm saying just like he does today, just like he does with the prisons, with the jails. Saying it ain't nothing, that should be surprising to anybody. And just because it's, 2020, it don't mean that things have changed. It don't mean that these things are different, all because all because we've accepted, what our oppressor calls a goddamn sophisticated society, I guess you could say. I'm saying with the prison systems, really, where they waited under wretched and sluggy, ignominious conditions for months. Saying so they were, you know what I'm saying, held in, how should I put it, like conditions that just weren't humane. You understand? So they were waiting in the cold. They were waiting in their own filth and in overcrowded conditions. They weren't fed properly. You know what I'm saying? Weren't able to bathe and you know what I'm saying? You get the basic idea of what it was that they were going through. So for those of us that want to take, you know, what's going on in America and what's going to be going on as a joke, you know what I'm saying, you better expect for the, you know what I'm saying, the Lord to cause these same damn things to happen to you, to happen to us as a nation. I'm going to skip down to verse 27. Slovakia. Verse 27. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, smallpox. You know what I'm saying? All these different types of diseases that would just cause, sleep. And just so deadly that, we didn't have any type of way of healing such things, of curing ourselves of these, saying so much so that just millions of us died just from, these specific diseases. And faulty gods it was that we prayed to and begged to heal our family members. I'm saying the Lord made it so that these types of things could not be healed. Made it so that follow in the ways of man. And to follow in our own. I'm saying that's something that is damn near like the road rage. I'm saying with how, it affected our people in the past. I'm saying you better believe that if we don't repent and turn back to following the laws, I'm saying, of the Lord, to doing as it is that He told us to do on us as a nation, that He's going to afflict our people and cause us to just be, in such pain and suffering. I'm saying I got the perfect example in this book right here. I'm saying this is a great book. I'm saying to get a better understanding of, what all it was that our oppressor did to us when he first invaded our lands. I'm saying to get a better understanding of his tactics and what it was that his biological warfare did to us as a people. I'm saying how it affected us, how it tore apart our communities, saying how it just detrimentally, dropped our population. I'm saying and so much more. I'm saying this is a great book right here. So this is the American Holocaust, page 108 in the middle of the page. For want of bedding and linen and other helps, they fall into a lamentable condition as they lie on their hard mats. So this is, a devil. I believe his name is William Bradford. And he's given an account of a smallpox epidemic that had broke out amongst, native Indians. So the first sentence essentially, he's letting us know that, and us wanting all these, I want to say like finer, just softer and gentler things. I'm saying on our skin due to this epidemic that was going on in our communities. I'm saying it, and due to just how destructive it was to our people. I'm saying we had no choice but to simply lay there on, these essentially pallets. I'm saying these hard mats. And the pox, it's like the pox breaking and mattering and running one into another. So their skin was just absolutely, covered in blisters. You understand, and all these different boils and sores, and so much so that essentially it just covered our whole bodies. It wasn't just one, I'm saying, sore and then a space, another sore, and that repeating all of our body. It was so severe that it covered us as a whole. Their skin play off at once into twist and turn, or we try to flip, actually take it off. And so that goes to show you how severe of a case this specific epidemic was. And so much so that this devil, they even let us know that we just laid there in, a gory, bloody mess. Even after we had a chunk of skin, removed from us. Most fearful to behold. And then being very sore, what with cold and other distempers, they die like rotten sheep. So not only were we stricken by smallpox, as a people in this, especially in this specific instance, but we were suffering from other ailments. Understand? We were, suffering from other sicknesses and epidemics and plagues that was breaking out among our people. So much so, Slovakia. So much so that it was basically like we were, just sitting there and waiting to rot away. So like this devil said, they die like rotten sheep. So all these different diseases we were suffering from, they'd cause, a stench to come from us. They'd cause us to be so, just weak and feeble that truly we got no choice but to die. The condition of this people, Slaki, was so lamentable, and they fell down so generally of this disease, as they were in the end not able to help one another. No, not to make a fire, nor to fetch a little water to drink. So this made our community so goddamn weak that we couldn't even go get a pail of water. Chop firewood. Throw some goddamn twigs into a fire to warm ourselves. Nor any to bury the dead. So this disease, this pandemic ravaged our people so badly that we couldn't even bury our loved ones. Bury our neighbors, our brothers and our sisters. So that just gives you an idea of, what it was that was going on throughout the lands back then. Back during the time of this sickness. So we couldn't bury all these corpses. Shoot, and that caused what? That caused them to rot. That caused a stench that would cause disease to continue to spread, but would strive as long as they could. And when they could procure no other means to make fire, they would burn the wooden trays and dishes they ate their meat in, and their very bows and arrows. So, not only were we so weak and feeble to where we couldn't even chop wood, gather some goddamn twigs, but it got to the point to where our very own, plates and eating utensils, we had to burn them in order to keep warm, in order to try to survive wherever it is that we could. And it even got to the point to where we would burn our own means of self-defense. And some would crawl out on all fours to get a little water, and sometimes die by the way and not be able to get in again. So like we'd be essentially, our people, we were so, riddled with this disease that we couldn't even walk to get what it was that we needed. Especially when it came to, water. And if we did get to the water, then we die like shortly after, trying to come back to our own homes. Which all this that was, brought out, it is something very important for natives to learn. For our people to, what is to learn what is in store for, our future generations if we don't keep the laws and statutes and commandments that the Lord gave us. So he's going to be causing, your flesh to rot off of you, for it to cleave onto your pillows and your beds. Instead, he's going to cause for our people to starve and be so weak that we can't even chop firewood, which so many of us depend on in the reservations. Our grandparents are gonna ultimately fade away because they rely on us so much. Even when it comes to what one might consider the basic things, basic necessities. I've talked to tons of natives where, their grandparents rely on them to, simply provide their firewood. To simply take them to town in order to get, food and water and strong drink. So when our people are weakened from all these different plagues that the Lord is sending upon this earth, what do you think is going to happen to our generations? Happen to our nation, to those that we hold dear. The Lord is going to take them from us because we'd much rather be a bunch of wicked bastards rather than keep the laws, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave to us as a nation. So with that said, we're going to get into the security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, start of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Book of Numbers, chapter 18 and verse 21. Book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew. Ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. It's a free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Let me get that for you real quick. It's April 9th. Which is the Lord's 51st annual Passover. Let me get the exact address real quick. 8th Central Avenue, White Plains, New York, 108th, 2020. I'm saying all fake branch off Israelite groups are ordered to return to the home of the truth by commanding General Yahanna. Saying the only man that was given the authority to rule the nation of Israel. I'm saying the only man that was given the authority to lead our people out of the captivity, I'm saying, of our oppressor. I'm saying of the devil. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or a war scarf. With that said, I majum, which means to stand. Upanyakadam means turn and face the east. Oh, shit. We're going to start out with the Lord's Prayer. Avanaru, Shabashamayim, Kodash, Haya, Shimka, Hahaw, Malakwaka, Bashamayim, Nathan, Lanawu, Lakam, Kasalakanawu, Kabawathayanawu, Wala'a, Dabayayinawu, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashayinawu, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Lakka, Hamalakwath, Wa'ala, Wa the Parath, Lawalamyam, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Amen. The prayer for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, wa Yahushai, wa Myaka'ala, wa La'ayim, Matazabiyah, Alawap Yahanna, Halawapyam, Hazaranyam, Hakwat Azayanyam, Hakayayayam, Wahakwathian, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, the water Aman. Pray for the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahanna, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, thank you. So be it. Salakia. The prayer of the cock, or the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, Babakashah, Nathanawa, a cock, La Rapa'ah, Call Makalah, will call Marawa, Hakak, Latahor, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, Lahakim, Hamathium, Hakak, Arakawath, Atamaola, Lagarshan, Bashim Yahushai, Baraman. The prayer for the Hakak, or the power in the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushai, thank you. So be it. Sar, which means a turn. I'm going to give a courtesy salute to the teacher, man of Israel, Amazim Shabbat, Amazim Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barak Thumb. That's on the top. I'm going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters, Amazim Shabbat, Amazim Barak, Yahweh Shamar Al Thumb by Hashem Yahushai. Is on the top. Class is missed.